17. Half-moon night. Tenka woke to the blast of a horn. She could see nothing in the dark, but felt Och sit up beside her. The horn blasted again. Without a word, the pair scrambled up off their bed of straw and skins and blankets and struggled with their clothes in the dim light. "Ata," their daughter called, "what's happening?" "Everything's okay," Och said. "Can you find your clothes?" "Yes," Tenka said. "Get dressed. We're going to practice hiding again." Still unable to see her mate or her children in the dark, Tenka heard Och say, "I love you three. I'll see you soon." "I will see they are safe," Tenka said. "Then I will join you." The horn sounded again. "Where is Ata going?" "He has to go see what all the noise is about." Tenka grabbed her spear, her atlatl, her knives, her sling and stones, and her son. "Stay close, little one," she called to her daughter. The village lay in twilight. The fire still glowed in its pit outside, adding precious little light to an overcast half-moon. Shadowy shapes moved through the village on every level, scuffing along the footpaths and shouting alerts. Another horn blast. They must be close. Tenka saw older children climbing the steps toward the higher levels. "Take these two with you," she said. An older girl of 11 summers stopped and grabbed Tenka's son, then ushered her daughter in among the group. "We have them," the girl said. "Spirits keep you," Tenka said. "Spirits keep you," the girl repeated, already at the top of the steps with Tenka's children. Tenka followed the figures already moving to the edge of the village, readying for a battle. She saw movement in the distance, like the desert was flowing toward them. Great Spirit. Like an angry river, the mob of people out there eddied and swirled around rocks and brush. No talks of peace tonight. This is war. The men of the village formed a loose line ahead, shields ready, while Tenka's fellow hunter warriors streamed in behind them. One of the men hammered the butt of their spear against the ground. Thump, thump, thump. The other men took up the beat. Tenka yipped the war cry and the women joined her. The glorious cacophony raised the hairs on Tenka's neck as the line of enemy warriors rushed in. Och yelled from the middle, "Hunters, throw!" Gripping her atlatl tightly, Tenka pulled back her arm and threw it forward, releasing her spear to join a dozen others thrumming through the air. Attackers fell like beats on a drum. Boom, boom, boom. As the men held their shields and long spears steady, Tenka and her fellow warriors pulled out their slings, loaded them, swung and let fly a barrage of tiny missiles into the oncoming horde. As the slingers reloaded, a wave of arrows flew from the attackers. "Shields!" men yelled, raising shields high to protect themselves and the women behind. On either side, Tenka heard the thuds of arrows piercing shield hide and flesh. The Easterling attackers collided with the line of Rasi men in a crash of spears and shields and tomahawks against arrows and axes and machetes. Tenka flung the second missile from her sling into the nearest attacker. The Easterling fell. In the twilight dimness, everything was jabs, grunts, and the sick smacks of metal and stone invading flesh. Tenka pulled her long knives from their straps and ran at the oncomers. Experienced as she was, Tenka lost track of her fellow warriors. She could not tell one enemy from another, or see any but the one she fought at any given moment. The Easterling men were stronger than she and her sister hunters, but slower, more experienced with farming and bow hunting than fighting at close range. Tenka swung and stabbed, keeping her body tight and low, ducking and sidestepping high swipes from the Easterling machetes. As they did when fighting their own men, Tenka fought against torsos, aiming for heart, lung, gut, and groin in upward and forward thrusts and cuts. A blade slashed her ribs. Already moving sideways, Tenka turned the sidestep into a spin, missing the brunt of the attack, but receiving a clean slice around half her midsection. She fell to one knee and plunged both knives up into the attacker's lower belly as he pulled his blade back for another strike. Tenka rolled out of the way as he fell forward. With a heartbeat's pause in the fighting, she looked for her sisters. She had to get back to her pack, or she would soon be dead and useless to them. She made her way to the knot of fighters where the battle raged fiercest. The men of her village stood in a broken line, fighting man to man. At the break, her hunter sisters had formed a spear-point formation, holding ground against the Easterlings. Tenka drove her knives into the back of one enemy, aiming for the kidneys, then pulled her knives free and spun away before he could react. He fell. As she ran past the downed Easterling, another turned toward her, a towering giant of a man. Uh-oh. The giant swung at her. She ducked and felt the air move across her skin as the oversized axe head just missed her shoulder. Great spirit. That big and that fast? He brought the axe back around before she could strike, forcing her back, away from her sisters. Tenka could only duck and dodge, avoiding the giant's attacks but unable to make her own. He shouted down at her, bellowing words with every swing. She only understood a little of their language, but she heard stop and whore, the latter a word Easterling men were endlessly fond of yelling. Tenka found her opening, rolled past the man. He turned to follow her. She thrust both knives upward just under his ribs. He swiped at her again, this time with less power. He fell to his knees. Tenka placed her foot on the giant's chest and ripped her knives from his abdomen. He roared and fell sideways, clutching his torso. Sensing a lull in the fight, Tenka rejoined her sisters. The first rays of sunlight lit the tops of the cliffs in a purple-orange glow. Those of the enemy who could walk fell back to regroup. One of the Easterlings yelled something, and the others began chanting it. They readied their bows, aimed, and loosed a volley of arrows. "Cover!" Tenka yelled. The Rasi around her scrambled behind shields and rocks. The wave of arrows fell like rain. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Tenka watched from the immense tooth-like rock she had slid behind as the Easterlings grabbed their injured from the battlefield and dragged them away. "They're retreating," Tenka heard. "Do we chase?" someone yelled. "No," Dominoch answered. "Let them go."